I wasn't worried, but now I am. I have a lot to say, and none of it's particularly positive. Carrick will walk by the end of August. I'm telling you now. We are doing all next season with this squad, loans ASAP. The state of this team, mid-table at best. This team screams 12th. So it's safe to say Boro'S fan base went into a slightly minor meltdown ahead of the pre-season friendly against Auxerre at the weekend, which was the final pre-season friendly before it all kicks off against Millwall on Saturday the 5th of August. But is Boro'S squad really that bad right now? Are we seriously looking at a mid-table team, or are we ready to kick on with a few more minor tweaks to go on and fight for automatic promotion? There's still work to do. Pre-season's been up and down, but today I'm going to preview Boro'S squad and its depth going into the new season and give my brief thoughts on the pre-season friendlies so far and if Borough truly are a mid-table team and are truly in as much crisis as some Borough fans think.
As the Uruguayan curls one in. Oh, Middlesbrough take the lead!
So starting off with the squad depth and the players that we've got in certain positions. This is a graphic that I did design for the Borough Breakdown podcast, which they discussed on the podcast, which of course, as I've mentioned previous, I do creative work for and have appeared on numerous times. So a big thank you from Dana from the Borough Breakdown for actually putting the players in position for this graphic, which I did create for them. But I'm going to use this to analyse each position and if and where Borough may or may not need improvements, with of course there still being a month left until the end of the window. So there's been an overhaul of the goalkeeping department at Borough this summer. 3 goalkeepers have gone out and 3 goalkeepers have come in. We lost our main goalkeeper, our number 1 last season, Zach Steffen. Of course, his loan deal ran out. We couldn't afford to continue his wages, and he did have knee surgery in the summer, which is why he's not had a brand new squad or has not moved to a brand new club as yet. Backup goalkeeper Liam Roberts has also left to pursue first team football, and Luke Daniels also left earlier in the window. It's also worth noting that Sol Bryn has gone out on loan to Leyton Orient, although he is a fantastic future prospect that I'm sure will come back and make a claim for that number 1 shirt at some point. Coming in, we've got Senny Dieng from QPR. We've also got Tom Glover, who's come over from Australia, and Jamie Jones, who I believe we may have signed from Wigan. He's our recent 7th signing of the window so far. And goalkeeper is pretty much sorted. Borough have had a huge overhaul of that position, and Zach Steffen was an interesting discussion among Borough fans last season. A lot of fans rated him massively. A lot of fans were quick to jump on his back whenever he'd make a mistake. But the whole point of a goalkeeper in Borough's system, as weird as it's to say, is not just to make saves, or it's not maybe be the best shot stopper in the world, which is crazy because they're a goalkeeper. The modern goalkeeper, and especially with the way Borough play out from the back, is they have to be good with their feet, they have to be calm on the ball, and they have to have very good distribution. And Dieng is just that. We got a lot of stick off QPR fans when we signed him because of course they had a disastrous season, but I mean, who out of that QPR side could really come out with any credit from last season? I don't think anybody could. So I am not, worried by, Dieng being scarred from last season. From what I've seen so far, he's a very, very good addition, and I'm very comfortable with him being our first choice goalkeeper. Glover is a bit of a mystery. I've seen a couple of good saves from him, but his distribution doesn't seem as good, and he did make a mistake in one of the pre-season friendlies. I believe it might have been against Bradford, where he gave the ball away, although I don't know who was quite to blame in that scenario, but I'm still not sure if he was put in goal, if we had an issue with Dieng. And Jamie Jones actually seemed probably the second best of the 3 goalkeepers in the small time he's had. His distribution looks very, very good, and I think would probably be a better backup to Dieng as a number 2, personally. But goalkeeper, overhaul, and I think we're absolutely fine in that position. And he might not be as good as Steffen, but I think it's a good enough replacement. Left back. Now, this is one of the big positions where Borough need to certainly recruit. Of course, last season we had Ryan Giles, who I think had 11 assists, maybe it was 12 assists, can't quite remember, but was an absolute... He was such a crucial cog in the Borough side, and the chance creation and the assists and the number of goals we scored. And there's a myth that he wasn't as good defensively, but Giles wasn't the best defender but he's certainly made up for that with the way he went forward and the way he attacked, and his left foot was incredible. So losing him is a blow, yes. However, him going to Luton, I don't think it's as much of a disaster as a lot of Borough fans think. Borough were going to spend $5 million on Ryan Giles, and I think at our level, spending $5 million on a left-back is a little bit much. And for all that Ryan Giles is a fantastic creative left-back, I don't know why Borough fans are so obsessed with having a left-back come in who is just as good at chance creation as Ryan Giles. It's almost like we've not got any other chance creation anywhere else on the pitch, and it all come through him, which was not the case. Yes, he was the standout, but losing him does not mean we're going to stop creating chances this season. Pre-season has proven we've got just as much creativity. You've got Barlasser, who had just as many assists at Rotherham as Giles did at Borough last season. We've brought in so many great attackers who play across the front three, who I'll get to later in the video, who are creative and are making so many chances throughout pre-season. So I don't understand this myth that now Giles has gone, Borough suddenly are in dire straits and we're now desperately needing a Ryan Giles replacement. We ain't replacing Ryan Giles. It ain't happening. The only other left back in the division who remotely was close or on equal was Ryan Manning, and he's gone to Southampton. So we need to stop, or Borough fans need to stop, obsessing over the fact that we need a Ryan Giles replacement. We can't get one, but we can share the creativity and get the assists elsewhere in the team. However, we do need depth there regardless. Might not be able to replace Ryan Giles, but we need left-backs in that position. The only person we've got there is Hayden Coulson, who come back from Aberdeen last season. He was on loan there. Didn't get a very good reference from the Aberdeen fans, I must say, and his previous loan at Peterborough didn't flatter either. Personally not convinced by Hayden Coulson. I don't think he is good enough, both offensively and defensively, if I'm brutally honest, to be in a team chasing promotion. And I think it is definitely one of our 2 or 3 priorities in the coming weeks to sign a left-back who will come straight in to the first team and be our first choice, dropping Coulson down to second. But certainly going into the season with only Hayden Coulson is a worry, especially if he got injured, but we have to sign a first-team left-back. Don't have to be a chance creator, but they have to be competent in going forward, but also very, very good at doing what defenders do, and that's defend. Centre-back, no problem at centre-back. We had a couple of problems there last season, of course. Still Fry, when he was injured towards the end of the season, meant that we had to get Paddy McNair in there, who did an alright job, to be fair, towards the end of the season. But we have strengthened in that area. First choice on the left, you've got Lenihan, Fry probably on the right. They're both fit to go. That's all good. I think left centre-back, maybe another defender could be, put us in a more comfortable position, but we've got Mark Clark. We don't know when he's going to be back. He's seemingly been injured for over a year now. We don't know what the hell's happening there, but Paddy McNair could slot into both right back or left back, so he's still a very good option. And of course we've brought in Rav Vandenberg, who I am very eager to see get minutes. He is an unbelievable talent who has, Borough have beaten huge European giants to him, so I definitely think he should be in the team. But I think central defence is something we needed to improve, and thankfully I think we have. Right back. Now on paper, right back is fine in terms of numbers, but it's not fine in terms of injuries. Tommy Smith, our first choice right back, is injured. He picked up an ankle injury, I believe, it might have been against Real Betis, it might have been against Bradford, I can't remember, but he's going to miss the first few weeks of the season. Dijksteel picked up an injury earlier in pre-season at the very beginning. He's still out for a while, and I think he's going to be out for even longer. And they're our 2 main right backs, so we've got a full-back crisis. Vandenberg can play there, and might play there, although a couple of our pre-season friendlies have shown that he might not play there. Carrickas came out and said that we don't have to recruit at right back, and it would be pointless recruiting a brand new right back for the sake of a few weeks until Smith and Dijksteel are back. It's a position we're simply going to have to just make use of, hang on to, do what we can until Smith and Dijksteel are fit and they can hopefully battle for that position. I don't have a problem at right back. I feel like it's just one of them things where we've got both right backs injured at the same time, heading into the season. It's not ideal. We're going to have to cope with it, but when they're back, we'll be absolutely fine. Central midfield. Now, this is another position where I feel we are pretty good. Johnny Howson would realistically be a starter. He's the club captain. He's injured. He hasn't played much of pre-season, which is a worry. But Dan Barlasser has come in as his backup, and for me, I think is ready to step into that role and be our first choice centre midfielder. He seems to be striking up a really good partnership with Hayden Hackney, who had an immense breakthrough season last year, and I think will go on to just be a star this season. So that partnership, whether it's Hackneyhausen, Hackney-Barlasser. I think we've got great options there. But even in behind the two of them, Matt Crooks can come in to play in midfield. And then we've also got Martin Piero, who's come back from Boca Juniors. He was on loan there last season. Bought him for a huge fee, what feels like a long time ago now, and hasn't really been given the chance to thrive. And I feel like under a central midfield like Michael Carrick can progress and do well and excel. And I think if there's one coach who can get something out of Piero, it's Michael Carrick. He's done it with others, he can do it with Piero, and I think he should remain a great option in and around the team, which gives us essentially 4 central midfielders, which for me is absolutely fine. Left wing. Now, left wing, again, we've got options. We've got options on both wings, to be fair, because the players we've brought in, simply, they can rotate, they can move, they can switch. It's a great, versatile sort of front three that we've got. They can swap, they can interchange and play, and they could even interchange it in a game, which I think would be a very useful asset to have. But of course, among the central midfielders we lost, I didn't mention Alex Mowat, but he wasn't, a huge part of last season. He was towards the end, but obviously one of the big players we did lose, went back to one of his parent clubs, was Aaron Ramsey. But I feel like we've replaced him well. We've signed a lot of young attackers this summer. Of course, we've got Sammy Silvera, Morgan Rogers, Alex Gilbert. We've signed well, I think, in the attacking areas, and I feel like these players are definitely players for the future, not the finished articles, players who are going to sign on a low fee, who will develop and will sell on for a profit in the future. It's Boro'S' sustainable model. But I feel like they're going to be very useful in these positions. On the left, we've got McGree, who's probably our starting left winger for me. He has to simply start. He helps the team tick. But if not, Sammy Silvera can come in, who has been the star of pre-season for me. He's come in from Australia and has been absolutely unbelievable. I'm loving the look of Sammy Silvera. And honestly, I can't choose between who I'd rather see start, him or McGree. I feel McGree is a more essential part of the Borough cog and the system, but Silvera can come in and really add the X factor, and maybe is a better impact sub in that position. I'm not too sure, but even behind him we've got Alex Gilbert, who can play there. Morgan Rogers can play there. So yeah, for me, I think on the left we're absolutely fine, and on the right as well you could also say the same. Marcus Forss, who I thought would maybe start getting played through the middle, still seems to be more favoured on the right by Michael Carrick, which is fine because he got double figures from there last season. But even behind him, we've got Isaiah Jones, who of course had issues off the pitch last season, but hopefully will come in this season and will, be the Isaiah Jones of old. So having him or Marcus Forss on the right hand side, is two very different options to have, which I think's good. They offer different things, so depending on what the game needs at that point, I think it's they're two very good players to have on that side. And Morgan Rogers is also another option. He can play on that side as well. So once again, either side of the number 10, either side of the striker, we're absolutely fine. Number 10. Now this is where two of Boro's biggest problems start. Chuba Akpom, the star of Boro's season last year, the Championship Player of the Year, the first Boro player to break the 20-goal record of Benny Slaven. He almost got 30. He is the ultimate redemption arc. He's injured. He's not played since the playoff semi-final, and did reveal to the guys on the Boro Breakdown that he actually would not have played in the playoff final had Boro got there because of the knee injury, and he's still not played since. He's missed all of pre-season. The circulation around his future, what might happen, is he going, is he staying, is he not being played because there's actual interest, or is it because he's legitimately injured? It is a conspiracy that will, I think, haunt Boro fans until we know the answer. I have thought for a very long time, and I still do believe that the injury is completely and 100% legitimate. Akpom has simply not played because he has, he's got a legitimate knee injury and unfortunately won't be fit for the start of the season. But of course, when he comes in and when he returns, will be a huge, huge part of Boro's team this season, as everyone knows. From what I believe, he is training with the team, which is positive, which makes me think he's not going to probably play in the opener, but could play in the second game against Coventry or the EFL Cup game against Huddersfield. But I also understand from a few things I've heard that there is a 50-50% chance that he might leave the club. There have been offers, there apparently is communication with a club or maybe clubs, I don't know, regarding Chuba, and there is a chance, I think, that he could leave this summer. I didn't think he would. I was pretty, sold on the fact that no one would want to come in for a player who'd been injured, and that might help Chuba go under the radar and help Borough keep him. But from what I understand, that has went from being maybe 80% he's staying at Borough, there's a 20% chance he's leaving. From what I can gather, it's moved to 50-50. It's a toss of a coin right now, and if Borough do lose him, well, I'm sure the fee we'll get for him will be good, and we can use it to replace the position. But whether we can, replace what Chuba actually brought us last season, and the goals especially, is a huge hole to fill. And if Borough were to lose Chuba, then my prediction of us being second could take a bit of a blow, depending on what we do in the latter stages of the transfer window. So Chuba, if he stays and he gets fit, he's the main man in that position. If not, Gilbert can play there. Gilbert, I blame Johnny for that. Crooks can also play there, and I guess maybe even Martin Piero could play there as well. So we're not, it's not like we haven't got options to replace Akpom in that position, but none of them can offer anywhere near the same as what he brought to the Borough team overall, and especially the goals. So that is a huge position that may or may not need filling in the coming weeks. It's on a knife edge at the minute, and it's got me a little bit worried, I'm not going to lie. And finally, up front, now we have got, again, like in, I guess, the number 10 Chuba Akpom position, multiple options, but like the Chuba Akpom position, none of them fit as well as the player who occupied it and can offer what that player occupied it. Of course, last season we had Cameron Archer, who from January onwards was an absolute cheat code, was amazing. I'd honestly sell my left arm to get him back, but it's not going to happen. I don't think there's any chance of us getting him back. I think he's well in Aston Villa's plans this season. And Borough yet to replace him. We've got Morgan Rogers, who is as close to a number 9, but is definitely not the answer to Borough's striking issues. We are very creative still, even with the loss of Ryan Giles, as I said, but we have not yet seen a player who can play in the number 9 position, who can finish the chances as clinically as Cameron Archer could, and that is another huge problem. Like I say, Force can play there, might end up playing there and doing extremely well for us, we don't quite know. Matthew Hoppy is a mystery, I can't see him being at the club personally. Josh Coburn is injured and will probably go out on loan, and Matt Crooks, as I say, and as I've said for Matt Crooks throughout most positions, I think is more of a utility player to slot in when is needed, not a specialist in any of the starting 11 positions that Borough are currently looking at. So for me, this is a huge problem for Borough, and for me the priority, I know we need bodies at left back, but I think the priority has got to be a number 9 for me. I think Rogers, he'll get you a few goals. I think Force, maybe them all combined might get close to what Archer offered, but we absolutely need to fill that position between now and the end of August, and ideally as soon as possible, because it's the most important position on the pitch, and it's a huge part of Borough's style of play, finishing off all the chances we'll create. And at the minute, without a clinical number 9 up front, I think again it will hurt us if we don't fill that position. It's not going to be Cameron Archer. Will it be Tom Cannon? Will it be Ross Stewart? I don't know who it'll be. Again, there's not been anyone linked yet. So all we can do is pray and hope that Borough are working away at that position. But for me, if there was one huge concern at the minute that we definitely know of that needs filling, it's the number 9 up front. So, one last look at the overall squad then. For me, I think there are 3 glaring positions that need filling. Left back, possibly number 10, depending on what happens with Akpom, and number 9 is a huge one. Like I say, we've got to look at getting 2 players in. I personally think we will be probably looking at the loan market now, which means, we're not going to get these players in until the very end of the window, which might make the first few games a little bit painful for us in some areas, but I do believe Borough will get the bodies in at the very end of the window when the Premier League teams finally release the players that they are allowing to loan, and that's where we might find the real top, starting 11 Premier League kind of quality players that can turn us into a top 2 contender. In terms of outgoings, there's not really anyone in that team who screams out might leave. The only first team player who I felt sure would leave was Paddy McNair, but the injury crisis at right back might mean he might actually start there for us against Millwall, as he did in the final pre-season friendly. So the right back injury crisis might prolong Paddy McNair's career, but if Smith and Dijksteel come back before the end of the window, there's still probably a lot of room for Paddy McNair to leave in this window. Pre-season, I think overall has been okay for Borough. It's been blotchy. We've looked good in spells. We've, I think, scored 9 goals. I think we've conceded 8. We've won 2 of the, I think it's 5 or 6 pre-season friendlies we've played. So we've won around a third of them. Scored as many goals as we've conceded. There's not much to really look into. I'm not going to, rely too much on results, especially in pre-season. But I think from what we've seen from this team, we are sharp. We look very good on the ball, very creative. I think there's clearly signs that Michael Carrick has brought in the right players for this system, and they have certainly picked up from where last year's squad, left off in terms of picking up that style of play and playing that attractive style of football. And I have no doubt Borough is still going to be very pretty on the eye, still going to create plenty of chances. It's just a case of we need someone to finish them, and we need to know what the hell is happening with Chuba Akpom. So I'm a bit like this with Borough at the moment. I feel like the potential is there for us to definitely make the right signings in the window, and I do think that Borough fans are panicking way too much at the moment. Yeah, the squad looks, a little bit unready, if that's even a word, or not prepared fully now the season is upon us, but how many squads in the Championship are ready? It's like, seriously, how many? I think our squad relative to most of the others regarding the relegated teams is a pretty good squad still. So let's see what happens when we get through the opening few fixtures and what might need to happen in between now and deadline day, and then we can properly judge the squad. I'll come back and have another look after deadline day, and fingers crossed Borough's squad is good enough and we can look ahead to the season with excitement and optimism and not pessimism and panic. But if you've enjoyed this video, guys, do hit the like button and subscribe for more, and hit the bell too so you never miss an episode. I do plenty of Borough and Championship content on the channel, and we'll review every Borough game after it drops. Do, of course, hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Comment below your thoughts on the Borough squad as well, whether you share the concerns of other Borough fans or you think we're looking actually pretty alright going into the start of the season, a bit like me. But until then, take care, guys. A big thank you for watching. See you all next time.